thanks a lot everybody for joining in on a weekend. So this is the 4th edition of the show, which is the Bhive startup platform. Idea of this show is really to bring across some interesting startups, typically which are looking to raise capital, etc., to go through their page to understand. Given the scenario with Bhive, right, we do meet a lot of startups, so we are in a good place to be able to curate the ones that makes most sense, right? So of course, so we look at founder credentials, various factors before we really choose to get somebody here. And today we have an exciting startup. In fact, there is so much action happening in agri-tech space. Out of the 4 episodes, there is a second agri-tech company that's already coming onto the show. And I have got Abhilash and Raghu here, 2 of the founders. They have very good credentials. Both of them have huge startup experience, including they have both worked in many different agri-tech startups as well, and have done a lot of startup work. So that was one of the big things. These guys are so committed to startups and looking to make changes. So they are right here, and their company is called AgriFi. I will be in conversation with them. So welcome, guys. Welcome to the show here.
Thank you, Shesh. Thanks.
And so it's really great to have you. And so very quickly, before we kick off, Abhilash, we have, I think, interacted more.
Yes.
And many of the people whom I have known, we have so much common connections.
Yes.
Some of the people whom I admire and have known have really worked with you also in your, in your previous company.
Yes.
So that's really good. And so I've been following a lot of things you're doing while we have not interacted so much over the past many years. Yes. I think I've always followed what you're doing. So maybe very briefly, in terms of what's, I think before we kick off, what exactly is AgriFi and what are we trying to do?
So, AgriFi is a digital credit platform for farmers. Basically, we are trying to solve for the fact that farmers find it very difficult to engage with banks to get loans, and banks find it very challenging to find out the right set of farmers when they are providing credit to them. Okay, so it's a demand side problem and a supply side problem. So we are trying to solve it using technology, right? And the fact that I've run 2 startups before, I've got an exit in my first startup, and Raghu is again a complete through and through startup person. And while he was at Cropin, he built exactly the same product there. So he's already got that experience of how do you underwrite farmers using data and technology. So that's what we're trying to build and solve for. It's a big problem. It's a $180 billion opportunity.
Wow.
And it's growing at about 10% every year. Mm-hmm. So we are like, when there are markets which are 3 billion and 5 billion where so much action is happening, why is there so little action happening in such a big market? Then we realize it's not only a big problem, but it's also a tough problem. Okay. And hence we're solving it through AgriFi.
Yeah, so what you're trying to do is it's not very easy to solve as well, right?
Yes.
It's the right talent.
Yes.
And Raghu, I think I was quite intrigued. You being a tech guy, could have chosen to do so many different things.
Yes.
But looking at your profile, right, you have been quite keen on doing stuff in agri-tech space.
Correct.
Is there a reason why you are choosing this space?
Yes, when it is agri-tech is most about, mostly about impacting people, right? I mean, we as people, when we start our career, we always believe, okay, I'm going to do some kind of a social work, some kind of impactful work in the later of my career when I have enough money. But that is not going to be true for many of the people, right?
Yes.
I mean, if you have to start impacting the space, you have to start right at the moment you start, right? Otherwise, you will be too late to do things, and you will have a lot of commitments and stuff like that. Okay. And so I always believe that agri-tech is a space that where it gives me my bread as well as the impact to the society.
Cool. I think definitely. I think most of the viewers here would also agree with that. I think we being Indians, a country of so much farmers, I think
Yes.
we have always
Yes.
known that agriculture is very important.
Yes.
But I think in one way, not much has been done. Which also in the other way is that there's so much more to do,
Yes.
right? And I
Yes.
think the impact you can create through agri-tech is definitely very, very huge. And it's amazing that I think what I really see is that for you, money is not the first thing, right?
Yes.
If money was the only thing, you could have chosen something else.
Yeah.
Yes.
While of course startups have to be successful, have to make money and have to be profitable, you have chosen an impact area.
Yes.
I think which is what makes it very, very interesting.
Yes, thank you.
Good. And so what we'll do is, we'll start off with the pitch deck. I would let you guys kind of explain that.
Sure.
If there is anything, I didn't fully understand, probably I'll just ask questions.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Okay. Cool. So, cool. I think that's a beautiful deck. So this is the investor deck. So basically, you guys are in a phase where we are looking to raise money.
Yes.
And if there are angel investors,
Yes.
I think the right angel investors would be those who would feel the connect to what you're doing.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
And, I think those are the ones who would come. I think I always say get the people who are, they should be kind of
aligned with what we are trying to do. Absolutely.
Yes. So cool. So let's go through this. So I think the problem statement.
This is, this is an explanation of what AgriFi is. We are part of the F10 fintech focused incubator and accelerator based out of Singapore and Zurich in Switzerland. And we are also funded by SOSV, which is the world's largest accelerator VC. They actually do more investments than Y Combinator, but they don't advertise themselves as much.
Okay. So that's strong credentials, right? I mean, these organizations have selected, AgriFi to accelerate and support. So that's really great. And I think this is what we touched upon, right?
Yes, this was the first opening line that we touched upon. So I didn't want to repeat it.
Yes. So it's the whatever we see, it's the farmer for whom we are solving the problem.
Yes, it's a farmer focused platform. There are so many different kinds of agri credit, right? The area which is least touched is the farmer focused agri credit. Where we have the maximum action happening is the supply chain finance post harvest, whereas we are completely focused on pre harvest, right? What does a farmer need to do agriculture? And that's the most interesting area to be solved, because as you will be aware, every year the banks have to lend a certain minimum portion of their capital to farmers, but they struggle with it, and that is what we are trying to solve for. And farmers also, almost 85 to 95% of farmers end up getting very high cost capital. So you're talking about 24% to like 40-50% capital, because they can't get loans from banks. So we are like trying to solve for these two.
So one side you're saying that banks do have a mandate to deploy certain percentage of capital to farmers, but they're actually not able to achieve it for whatever reasons. We can touch upon that. Other side, farmers actually want the money. That's why they're actually ending up paying very high interest.
Very high interest rates.
So there is a gap between what I think from a government and everybody wants to do and what is actually being achieved on ground.
Yes. Correct. That's right.
On the credit side, right? So that's a very, very big problem. I think, let's go to the next slide.
So this is the founding team. So myself and Raghu are here. Apart from myself and Raghu, we have Mithilesh, who was a founding team member of Cropin. He headed customer success there for almost 8 years. So very, very solid, startup experience. And, he and Raghu met at Cropin. Apart from that, we have Madhav Reddy. He's a core team member. He has about 26 years of experience in banking. And he also ran his own startup for about 4 years before he decided to join AgriFi. So a very strong team with like very complementary skills. So for me, it is like many startup experience. Raghu is like obviously the technical guy. Mithilesh is the business guy, and Madhav is the banking guy.
I think trying to solve the credit problem, I think you need the right person, banking experience. That's a pretty strong profile. That's really amazing, and I think you work with a lot of top banks. And so, what is the core? I mean, if I would quickly touch, how do you guys know each other?
So, I've obviously been doing startups for donkeys, right? So, we came to know, Raghu and Mithilesh work together in Cropin. So, they know each other for almost like 6-8 years. 7-8 years. I know Mithilesh because I know the founder of Cropin. So it's like it's
the same space, and
we were in the same space, and then conversations started getting to meetings, and then meetings ultimately, kind of.
Cool. That's it's good. I think that's the advantage of I think you have stayed put as an entrepreneur and been there. So I think one of the big things you bring across here is that your experience and connects and your ability. What I can see is that as you grow also. I think you are well placed to bring the right talent whenever you require. You know the talent possibly, right?
100%. It's all about persistence, Shesh. Founders understand this very well, right? Business models change, teams cannot. Tactics can change, but vision cannot, right? Absolutely. So it's all it is. And what happens is when you stay put, there are certain people who respect you for it, stay in touch, and ultimately they join, right? That's how it works.
Cool. Really nice. So we'll go to the next one.
So this is a slightly larger explanation for the problem statement that we are trying to solve for. Without doubt, the problem statement is simple, is that when a farmer goes to get a loan from a bank, they don't have what the bank wants. Okay, this results in the farmer going like 5 or 6 times not knowing what the bank wants. Okay, and banks are severely understaffed. Okay, 1/3 of bank branches in India are handling 2/3 of the Indian population. Okay, that's the understaffed gap, right?
Okay.
So what happens is if a farmer is walking into a bank, he never understands what's happening. Okay, and the way we are trying to solve for this problem is like step 1 is to create a digital journey for what is already happening. Okay, it's very similar to what happened to e-commerce. Okay, so we are creating a journey where the banks tell us what they want, the farmer tells us what they have, and when these two things match, we tell them, what, I think this could happen. But this is going to solve only for the 5 or 10% of farmers who are already eligible for loans. But that's not the problem we are trying to solve. It's the remaining 80 to 90% of farmers who don't have what the bank wants. So for them, we've created a process where by using our mobile app, they're able to create that set of digital collaterals that a bank might use to consider them for a loan. That's the larger vision. So this is what we are trying to solve on the farmer side. If it sounded too technical, please.
No, I think I would summarize in the way simpler way that I would have understood. Right. See, one is definitely there are various reasons. Right. Banks are understaffed. Also, I think farmers may not be the most educated. They may not have all the right documents on one side. I think so. One of the bigger challenges. See, if somebody wants to give loan to somebody, who wants to borrow, you should, the speed at which you can evaluate their credentials and whether they are worth giving or not, right? Would help deploy, right? And that data has to be correct, close to correct, right? I mean, because delinquencies, it has to be 1%, 2% or something.
Less than 5%.
Less than 5%. Yes. To achieve that, you need that right data, right? And for various reasons, those who are eligible also, for them also there are struggle to put together the data.
Yes.
And lot of others are actually not eligible because there is no data, nobody is even tracking their data.
Correct.
Right? So even whatever they bring, they will still not get it.
Yes.
Yeah, basically it is a seasonal business, right? I mean, one big problem that banks have is banks don't even qualify farming as a business, right? The moment a farmer goes to bank, I mean, mostly they will be shooed away or they would be asked to come next week or next week and stuff like that. Right, and by the nature of farmer, what farmer does is like the moment he gets a money into his account, the next important thing that he does is he goes and withdraws it, right? Or he will prefer to have a cash transactions, thinking that there are some of the schemes that are going to come to his account, and the money will come. If there is money, the money will not come, and all those kind of stuff are there, right? So what we are trying to build, I mean, we can also build an alternative data set, alternative report along with their regular credit score, right? You and me, we will easily get a credit report and a credit score just because we get salaries regularly or like we have transactions in account. But in farmers' case, it is mostly like nothing, right? So this is the challenge that we are trying to solve.
Okay, so one is the bank itself, they may not use as much because there is a lot of cash transactions, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Because of their own perception with the bank, like you're saying, if there's too much money in the bank, maybe maybe so they may not be eligible for some government scheme.
Yes.
Or it could be
Exactly.
Or somebody may be even thinking the one that is granted, they may take it back.
Yes.
So I think there could be various reasons which ultimately is leading to the scenario where the transactions are not getting.
Correct. And second is loan defaults, right? So for example, the governments come and they say that okay, we'll waive off the loans, but in the books of bank it becomes a default. Farmers are not aware of it. What farmers think it is a free money, but it is not free money. It is a defaulted loan.
It's
and
their
their score gets screwed up after that.
Oh wow, okay.
We have met so many farmers who didn't know this.
Yeah.
They're like, my loan has been paid for. And I said, no, you didn't pay for it. So.
Okay. So ultimately it does get recorded.
Correct. But it's a default. I mean, CIBIL score or whatever the credit score they have.
Wow. So somebody who actually had money, I know what happens is a lot of times they will have the money.
Yeah.
They'll think anyway it will be, for government is going to pay for it.
Yes.
And they will not pay.
Correct.
And I think they have been thinking again because of it. But what I'm seeing is the credit score, actually they're harming themselves by, hurting their credit score.
Yes.
Right? Which is very interesting. Very, very interesting. I think you guys are kind of working very closely with farming community.
Yes.
The first thing is we are farmers. Okay, me myself, I have a farming land, and he also comes with some of the farming.
The affinity is natural.
Yeah.
Okay.
The affinity to farming is very, very natural. And without that, you can't solve such a problem.
So you have a deeper connection to the actual farmers. Given your background itself,
Yes.
you really know how they think.
Yes,
That's actually very important to build something like this.
absolutely. So this is on the bank side. Like I mentioned, 1/3 of bank branches in India service 2/3 of India's population. And because of this, they are not able to give quality time required to assess or help a farmer get credit. So what we are doing is when we go to a bank, we tell them that we will reduce your cost of customer acquisition, which is very high now. Because just imagine if a manager has to actually go and visit a farmer like 4 or 5 times, just the travel cost is going to be like some 5,000, 6,000 rupees. Okay, and if you look at the economics, if I have to make 6,000 rupees in interest from a farmer, I need to be lending him a minimum of 1 lakh or slightly more than that to just get the interest alone. So immediately what happens is the branch manager thinks, no, then I have to go for higher value loans. So what happens is a lot of farmers fall because an average farmer is like, I want 50,000 loan, I want 1 lakh loan. Okay, but the branch manager will be thinking that I can't break even on this.
Yeah. That's so. The current process is manual, and the amount
Cost is very
their
high.
own salaries and all that.
Yes.
For them, giving small loan doesn't even make sense.
The whole system is not designed to service a small farmer because it is completely manual. Okay, the system cannot service them at all. The system has to change. Okay, and that's what we go and tell banks that, look, with your manual systems, you're never going to be able to come below this bucket. Okay, so you will have to go digital, and that's what we are here for. Okay, we'll give you that entire digital journey, so that instead of your staff, evaluating, visiting, speaking, background, reference check, and all of that, we will sort everything for you, and we'll come and give it to you, right? So that you just have to look at it like a file and then decide, right? So cut down the cost, cut down the time, and hit your targets. That's what we pitch to banks.
And there is absolutely nothing that which cannot be automated in this process. Everything can be automated. Everything can be bought under the AI ML concepts, and we can make such a beautiful system that like RBI wishes itself that KCC loans have to be dispersed under 3 minutes. I think it should ideally not take even 3 minutes if everything gets automated.
Everything is there.
It should be like a tick of second.
So that's their goal, right?
Yes.
I mean, we are very far from.
Correct.
No, so they're already doing a pilot right now with Union Bank in 2 geographies where they are testing out how to build this system. The biggest advantage for us because of this pilot is all the other banks now know that eventually they also have to do this. Okay, so they are very, very welcoming when we go and pitch to them, because like, oh, please tell us how to do it, because this is going to happen. So I need to build the system, I need to build the process, and you know how strict RBI has become. So banks are really on their toes. So the moment the RBI started doing this pilot, banks are like, hey, who are these guys? I mean, how can we do this? We need to get the solution now. I can't, wait for that time to start building the system. Let's build it right now.
Interesting, very interesting.
Right? So, this is our solution. These are our partners. So, we have tied up with Axis Bank, ICICI Bank, Yes Bank, and Karnataka. We also have a few more partnerships.
So, you already tied up with these 4 and you're working with them?
We are working with them, and we have several more partnerships which we couldn't fit in the slide, but mostly on the NBFC side.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So, basically, you also have many NBFCs who are kind of on your platform, right? Okay.
Yeah. So, the reason is that farm loan is one part of agri credit. The farmer needs other credit products also. He'll need a tractor loan. He'll need a dairy loan. It's the same farmer, the same guy, but different needs, right? He will need gold loans. He'll need personal loans. He'll need an educational loan for his kid.
So they're basically their score and history is something that's missing.
It's the same thing which is applicable to everything except gold loan, because gold loan, anybody who can put gold, bank will not ask for score, nothing. Except gold loan, for everything else, this score is required.
Got it. Interesting. And so basically, I think one thing is, see, you are a tech platform which has got financial institutions, banks and NBFCs on one side, farmers on the other side, right?
Correct.
So you are not, becoming an NBFC yourself to deploy capital.
Thank you. It's a very, very important question. We see ourselves as a tech platform building the product to help banks give loans faster to the farmer and to help a farmer get access to a wide variety of credit. We don't intend to become something which we are not. Like, I don't have lending experience. Neither Raghu has lending. We are purely on the product side. And we don't intend to do that because the problem is not lack of capital. There's tons. I mean, the overall size of agri lending per year in India is like some 13 lakh crores. Okay, it's a very, so there's enough capital available. It's the pipe. It's the pipe which needs to be built for the capital to flow through, and we are focusing on that.
And if you start becoming an NBFC, the focus may change, right?
Yes, then you start. Lending is a physically intensive process because you don't make money when you're lending. You make money when you collect it back, and collection is, and will always be a physical process. You know what I mean, right?
Yes, yes.
So we don't intend to do that. We don't have the background to do that either.
Makes sense. Yes.
So this is our process.
So this is the process of how, if you want to look at now, okay, we know the problem statement. There is farmer at one side.
The banks on the other
institution.
side. Yes.
How this is the flow of how it's going to work.
This is the flow. Raghu, why don't you?
So I'll just take you through the process how it works, right? If anybody has to apply for a loan as a farmer, basically they have to download our application through Play Store, and it just takes a couple of seconds for them to register. They just have to enter the phone number and their name. They're onboarded, right? Once it is done, there's a very simple flow where somebody can go and click and apply for button, we are present in 8 languages, right? In all the content that we have goes in all the 8 languages. Right, somebody has to download it and enter the number and then apply for a loan, and we'll ask some mandatory document like it is mentioned over here, like KYC documents, land records, and all these kind of things. I mean, this changes from bank to bank. Basically, some of the banks might ask, the land document. Some of the banks might not want land document. Just a placeholder, I'm saying, right? So accordingly, we have built a system which can be customized. We can configure that from the back end. We do not have to change the app every time we are giving a loan through some bank.
Okay.
Right? If ICICI Bank wants this, we can customize it from the bank. If Axis Bank wants another format, we can customize this. Right? Like this, it works. Once the entire data, whatever that bank wants, is collected, right? It runs through our algorithm. We call it credit engine. So basically, we have a lot of alternative data and the financial data set of the farmer. With the combination of all of that, we are going to create world's first farmer credit score, right? I don't think anybody has done it so far. This is going to be a parallel score with credit score, like CIBIL or Equifax or any such scores. This is going to be a parallel score, and which we probably,
because what data you're collecting, you can't create a CIBIL score out of it.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
So this is essentially what's happening is banks are unable to really utilize this data, and of course there are many other problems, right? For a small guy, they don't even have the process to go. So you are making using the app, if these things are uploaded, you have your own format and your own scoring system.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Like things like we do psychometric analysis. Psychometric analysis is nothing but psychiatrists have designed this flow to ask certain question to farmer. Depending on the questions, they derive certain score from them. For example, if you have 10,000 rupees, what would you do? The pictures are shown, like you will go to a theater, you will go to the farm equipment store and stuff like that. It's basically behavioral understanding of the farmer. Like if you have to go to the market, how do you go to the market? You choose taxi or bus or like a cycle or something like that. This helps us understand the behavior of the farmer, and we give certain scores. And we do use some of the technologies like remote sensing, where with the help of satellite data, the satellite data is like almost like 10-15 years data that we have. We can go back and see 5 years ago, this guy in this farm, did he had a crop, right? If he had a crop, and has he been doing it continuously?
Wow.
And that kind of gives a credibility that we can go and advocate to the banks, telling that, boss, this person is actually a good farmer. Maybe he don't have cash in his bank balance, but he definitely is a credit-worthy person. So this is something that
I would have never thought satellite data can be used like this. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
There are
so.
many such factors. I took a couple of examples.
Yeah. For in the interest of time, Raghu was taking out
Yeah,
some
but these are
percent.
super innovative.
Yes.
I don't think a bank would have ever thought of these kind of data, right? So this is really amazing.
I believe there is a work going on, but I mean, it depends, right? When an established system trying to do something innovative and a startup trying to do something innovative is
That's
two
why
different
startups
fields.
are there.
Yeah.
So because you have the intensity required to solve the problem.
Correct.
Yes.
And the intent.
That's correct.
Right? So that's amazing.
Yeah.
So, this is a slightly blown up version of whatever Raghu had mentioned. So basically, you have the farmer putting in some details. Then there is some work that we do between the farmer giving us the details and communicating to the bank as to what details they would need. And once these details are collated, they are digitally shared with the banks through their CRM system. And basically the banks allocate this to different regions, different teams, and they go ahead. So the beauty of this system is that the farmer and the bank meet only 1 or 2 times to finalize the credit. Okay. The branch manager does not have to go visit 5 times.
So you're reducing the man hours required by the bank.
Yes.
That way they can actually now give a smaller loan as well.
They can give a smaller loan. They can increase the quantum of business. If I'm a branch manager who is able to do X amount of business by going to the field like 10 times, now I can actually do 2 times or 3 times that business by spending the same amount of time and same amount of effort. I mean, you're right that he can look at smaller loans, but it's going to be a slightly medium term to long term change, because the branch manager to do those small term loans still needs the digital data which we have to provide.
Yes.
And this is a system which takes time. I mean, any data engine takes time to build, and we need access to a lot of data. So as we work with banks and we get to a point where banks also start sharing their information, that is when the quality of the output starts really getting better and better.
Okay. So as you partner, I mean, this will continue to evolve, right? And,
Yes.
and as you grow, there is more and more data that you'll have more and more partnership,
Correct.
access to more and more data.
Yes.
And it will that will become like the factor where it's that becomes a moat in a way, right?
Yes.
The
Yes.
data is
Basically, data is our food, right? More the data we get, our algorithms, our system is going to evolve much stronger and efficient.
And it is our IP. I mean, that's going to be our differentiator in the market. 3 years from now, we should look at a situation where the banks start using our system fully for underwriting any and every kind of agri credit. And this is not an India-centric approach. This can be replicated. So tomorrow, if you want to launch this in a country similar to India, either in Southeast Asia or in Africa, it's the same engine, it's the same data, okay, except that 2 years from now, it's going to be able to make much more accurate predictions, and hence the time to market will be shorter.
okay. Interesting. Yeah, we'll go to the next one. So
Yeah. So one of the uniqueness of what we do is over and above.
So you call So basically, you call yourself a marketplace, right?
Yeah.
Because one side you have the farmer, other side it can mean that the banks may compete with each other to give.
Yes, give better rates, give loans, and there are a lot of people who compete with each other to sell products to credit-worthy farmers. Okay, so everybody who is going to get loans on AgriFi is going to be a credit-worthy farmer. So we are going to reduce time to market for brands, right? So if I'm let's say a tractor OEM and I want to sell high value tractors, the best place to look for will be the AgriFi platform, because everybody has been already curated, everybody's background has been checked, right? So it becomes an attractive place for brands to reach out as well.
Okay. So that's cool. So I think so that way that competition and interest reduction, and I think that's what happens, right? You build your score,
Yes.
build your credit,
Yes.
and then the platform is so beautiful that for the farmer who's paying, whether an incentive for them to pay back.
Yes, and to be on the platform. Okay, so I'll tell you why it answers a particular question. If I'm a credit-worthy farmer, or I am now a credit-worthy farmer, and I got a loan, what is the incentive to come back to AgriFi again? right? I could just continue my journey, but by creating this marketplace where brands compete with each other to reach out to this farmer, the farmer sees an incentive to be on our platform. So that is what we are trying to build.
Cool. Yeah, the same slide. I think we didn't discuss this yet. So yeah.
Yeah. So eventually, in addition to building the AgriFi marketplace, we believe that once our credit model is mature enough, a farmer without a CIBIL score should be able to get a loan through AgriFi. That's like our dream. That's like the vision where CIBIL makes sense only for somebody who's been in the banking system for at least like 5 to 6 years, right? But we want to change that paradigm for a farmer by looking at him as a businessman rather than as a salaried person. Today's CIBIL is like very salaried person focused. Somebody who gets money hitting and going out of his account like very regularly. Okay, farmers are not like that. Their cycle is 6 months to a year long. So you have to actually look at him like a business. So our vision is that in 1.5 to 2 years, a farmer without a CIBIL score should be able to get. It can be any kind of loan. Look, a farmer is not going to say, I want only a loan for 5 lakhs. We can start him off with 10,000 rupees also, saying that I'll do this. Looking at your repayment history, I can keep enhancing your credit. Right? This is there for people like us. Okay, we can start off very instantly with a credit line, but we want to do that for a farmer, saying anybody without a CIBIL score should be able to get some credit, which can be used to build his credit history.
Interesting. Yeah, I think what kind of points out is when you said CIBIL is designed for those with credit. So basically, I think one is that there are already people in the credit system, so they are benefiting more from CIBIL, right? I think it's not helping bring new people into the system.
Yes.
Right, and the farmers, given that it was designed more for salaried people,
yes.
So they are a completely different set of unique behavior.
Yes.
And the farmer of India's their behavioral pattern of how they do finances can be very different from US or a Europe.
Yes.
So so those kind of solutions also won't work here, right? Somebody has to think completely for India and understand exactly how they're behaving and build this, right? So that's amazing.
Thank you. Can we go to the next slide? So this is our revenue model says. So basically we make money from two sides. One is we get a cut of,
So if we go back, I think there was just one slide back. Was there? So yeah, I think what we didn't touch upon is, so basically your platform will ultimately have seeds, farm equipment. You are also going to sell these, or is that?
No, so we'll have partners to fulfill this.
But
so
they can buy through your platform.
Yes. So a farmer, let's
they
say,
can do transactions on your platform.
Yes.
Which will also
enhance his score.
Yeah.
Right.
Now they are just going and buying something in cash and all, and
yes.
So the transactions are not being tracked.
Being recorded, correct.
So one of the challenges that banks face is once the loan is dispersed to the farmer, where is this loan being used? Is it being used for the right purposes, or a farmer just got the loan and got a motorbike or something like that? They're very concerned about it. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to see the opportunities in which we can channelize the money that they have received to right things, right? Probably by the farm equipment, probably by the seeds. We have tied up with many partners, and not only we're just doing a business with them. We are trying to give the farmers the best discounts that is possible in the wholesale rate, not from the retailer perspective, right? This will help farmer to also grow up and empower himself to do better things and bigger things, and we meanwhile will be generating the data that we can help the farmer, he or she, that to get more better visibility on the credits.
Cool. So you were kind of build a market. You have the incentive to really not price too high, right? You would want to get the best.
More
price.
data.
Because your focus is data.
More on transactions, more on data.
Try to get the best deals for them, and so that they can start using this platform. And so, like you said, your dream would be, so over a period of time, if there are a lot of these transactions that are happening, you already know who are credit worthy, and banks may themselves go to them looking at these data. Hey, you know what? At this rate, I can give you a loan.
See, one of the interesting feature that we have is we have a ledger book for farmers, right? So if you go back and see the data, what kind of a data farmers are entering, like for example, there are self-help groups that farmer go and borrow like 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, stuff like that. Mostly it is like women self-help groups and stuff like that. Interestingly, farmers are in need of such kind of a system like ours, where they are coming and recording, telling that this is a self-help group. I bought, I have borrowed 5,000, I have paid 200, I have paid 300, and this kind of a data also is visible in our backend. And this indeed is a equivalent to the bank statement or something which is happening outside the banking systems, right? These are all the things that we can use and complement the farmer telling okay, you have done all this and this is what is your score, and you can, I mean, we at a point probably in a couple of years probably farmer can come and download a score where, like, if you download a CIBIL report, everything is mentioned, how many loans you have and what are the defaults you did and stuff like that, all that you can see. Similarly, we can also probably help you took loan from an SSG and this is your outstanding and stuff like that, and it can actually become a valid statement, bank statement kind of a thing.
Like a bank statement.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, you go for it.
So I was talking about the business model, Shesh. So we make money from getting a cut on the processing fee from the banks who issue the loans. We also foresee that in about a year's time, banks will start using our system to filter their leads, for which we will be receiving a SaaS fee from them, roughly about 500 rupees per file. So this is a very high volume business, right? So a bank generates like thousands of leads every day from like many channels, but they don't know how to filter them, right? So they have a CRM system and they just agree, but we will tell them that you don't have to allocate all the leads. You can sort them, right? So our system will become like that for a bank, and we'll also earn commissions from the business partners who want to upsell their products, because the point is we know when a farmer is going to have cash, okay, which is right after he gets his loan, right? So that could be a brand which like Syngenta, which wants to sell seeds. There could be a brand like Bayer, which wants to sell pesticides. There could be a brand like Mahindra who wants to sell a tractor, because if Mahindra wants to sell, let's say, a 50 horsepower tractor to a farmer who has 5 acres of land in a district in Karnataka, like let's say Shimoga, we have that data ready.
And like you said, you know when they got the money.
Yes.
And of course they are getting it for agricultural purpose.
Yes.
And getting the right, you would also curated the right stuff for them,
Yes.
right?
So
and the right deals. So
exactly. So, and we are not we are not only going to do this, we negotiate rates, right? We're going to, like, if somebody is selling it outside for 10 rupees, I'm like, what's in it for us and what's in it for our base? I'm going to open up this base for you. So then they give us much better rates. Okay, because one, I mean, they are not having any field force. This is like a completely digital channel for them also, right? We are saving on their marketing fee, we are saving on their field fee and everything, right? So they give us much better rates, like almost wholesale rates. Okay, wow. And farmers like it. I mean, why wouldn't I? Right? So, so we earn from that. So these are our two primary sources of revenue, right now. We do expect that in the near term, by near term I would say around at least another 9 to 12 months, there will be buyers who will want to know, how many of your farmers are getting this brand of corn at this time of the year from this geography. Once we hit, let's say, about 1 million users, we'll have that kind of data, right? So we are not putting that here because it's slightly more, medium term. But we expect that to happen very soon. But right now, it's a commission from banks and a commission from business partners who want to upsell products to our farmers.
And you also mentioned, right? See, banks are two things. So one is when a loan gets sanctioned, 1 lakh, 5 lakh, whatever, there's a percentage of the loan.
Yes.
Market standard, you get the commission. But I think you also mentioned that once you start building data of so many farmers, bank will start requesting.
Yes.
Every month they may request for 1,000 farmer, 10,000 farmer,
yes.
right?
Yes.
So that's like a SaaS fees. So
yes.
that I think that's little. Once you build more data,
no,
right?
Not a lot. I would say we are already in conversation with banks for that.
Okay.
If our system is good enough, like let's say in the next 3 to 4 months, I think that will be something which will be good to go from a bank, where they'll say that I'm generating 10,000 leads per month. I don't want to push all of this 10,000 leads to my team. Is there a way in which I'll give you this data, you sort it, and you give me, let's say, the top 1,000, right? Okay. So I don't have to bother about the remaining 9,000. I save money, and I'm willing to pay you a fee for that.
Good. So one side bank is paying, and the other side, the ones who are selling the equipment or seeds, etc.
Yes.
They are the ones who are paying. And the other side, you are making sure the farmers are getting the best deal.
Yes.
Either when it is loan or when they're buying something, it's completely curated.
It's completely convenient, transparent, and cost saving and time saving.
And last but not the least in our application is that we have such free tools, like we have an announcement tool in our app, right, through which we send, like I said, 8 languages we are present in. All the announcements, like for example the pest attack, if it happens, what you should do, if it is going to rain more in your area or not, and stuff like this. We are going to send these advisory or announcements to farmers freely in all the 8 languages. And we have a very interesting section called question and answer section, understanding the literacy level of farmers. What we do is we have very user friendly interface where farmer can either record or capture an image or write a question to us. Any of this is
Any one of these.
any one of this is mandatory, right, through which they can ask any questions to us directly, right. We have an agronomist team sitting at our office who every day curates it. For example, consider that somebody just takes the photo of a crop. Our agronomist team is equipped enough to see what is wrong with that leaves, coloration and stuff like that, and they accordingly suggest the right set of inputs that they have to use, or right set of the measures that they have to take.
So that's really beautiful. I think, see, as you're aggregating all the farmers.
Yes.
And one is that language support is something very important. You are already at a 8 language support.
Vernacular, everything is vernacular.
Given that you are coming from farmer background, you know what is the kind of information they regularly need, alerts,
Yes.
etc. Right? So, because first of all, I think both of you are personally passionate about that.
Yes.
So you are possibly tracking a lot of this information yourself.
And we don't use Google Translate.
I mean, mostly all the Kannada translation I do, and Tamil translation he does, and stuff like that.
So the right translation which they would understand.
Yes.
And so there will be good content engagement as well, right?
Yes.
Just having the app, you're sending all the right alerts, right
Yes.
content, and so that engagement to your app also is something very, very important, and you have a good
In
strategy.
fact, that itself is also a data. A farmer who is consuming this kind of a data, we can track them, and we know, okay, this farmer is interested in knowing this kind of advisory.
Yes.
Right, that itself shows the intention, or like how serious a farmer is about.
The one who is regularly checking,
Yes.
You are more likely that
Yes.
Is a right.
He's a very
right?
serious farmer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who is taking informed decisions.
Correct.
Right, because I mean, again, this is an off topic, because see, I'm not as familiar with farming as you. When I generally talk, what I see is that the more educated, informed farmers, they seem to be making more money per acre
Yes.
than the somebody who's not as educated or
If you are able to cross the 3-acre threshold, and if you are well informed, the chances that you will keep doing well once every 2 years is pretty high. It's that there is that 2 to 3 acre place where people get locked because they just cannot cross that. Whatever money they make, they'll end up paying
So
interest.
let's assume somebody has 5 acres. Let's say person A and person B. Person A is a super smart, well-informed guy. Person B is just not as educated, doesn't have proper information. What do you think the revenue difference will be?
So
between the two
here,
for the same area.
Here, actually, I would like to point out something. I mean, why our application can be a game changer here, right? We have personally seen in villages what happens. There is one guy with 2 acres of a land and another guy with more than 3 acres of a land. But 2 acres land guy would be making more money because this person is going and taking an informed decision, going to Krishi, all these government initiatives and getting the data and stuff like that. But when he comes and does the farming, right, he does not share that information to the other person, right? And this farmer goes and asks him, like, how are you able to get such good yield? But this farmer does not give a full information,
Okay.
always gives a half information.
Like competitors
There is
also,
a competition among themselves, right? I mean, we have personally seen when somebody's maize is very good, people will be cursing, I don't know, this fellow is not a good guy, but he's having such a good yield, right? These kind of things happen. With the help of our kind of an application, the information is
Democratized.
It is
Democratized.
distributed to everybody. Everybody can access in their own regional languages. And these informations are not just like, there is an agronomist, they are putting whatever they want. I mean, we are reading a lot of research articles, whatever the new technologies that are there, and what we should do and what we should not apply and stuff like that. All that we are taking care and disseminating it.
But if I have to answer your question with a lot of terms and conditions, stars, double stars, I would say a well-informed farmer who is very passionate. I mean, I think what is important that he should be aspirational, that I want to move up in life. Okay, if that is that kind of a farmer, so the reason why I say 2 years is because they'll try out something, they'll make mistakes, they'll correct it in the next year. you know. So every 2 years, I think they should get an bump of around 20 to 30%
Okay.
by choosing the right crop, you know,
That's really
by
good.
choosing the right time, by doing multi-cropping, intercropping, and all of that. So around 20 to 30%, they should get better yield.
Cool. That's great. Move forward.
Yeah. So this has been our even
Yeah,
though
so this is the basically
the
given
proof
that
of the pudding.
it's not at an idea stage, right? You guys have
Yes.
launched it and there's a lot of traction. There's a good bar chart and right. Yes.
So even though we've been around for more than 2 years, the first 1.5 years has been spent in studying the market and in doing pilots.
Okay.
In fact, the first pilot I invested my own capital
Wow.
rather than
That shows
getting
the
somebody
passion.
else capital. All of that learning has been applied in the app that we launched, Krishi Khata, and most of the traction happened only in the last like 6 months. So in the last like 6
What you're
months,
showing here is this current.
this is the
calendar,
current
right?
year as of, I mean,
But you've done work before this.
yes,
But the actual Krishi Kata launch happened like this.
only
year.
in January of this year,
Okay.
right? So in the last 6 months, we've dispersed loans of around 1.5 crores
Okay.
across Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, and Maharashtra in partnership with Axis Bank, Yes Bank, and Karnataka Bank. We just started working with ICICI Bank as well.
Okay.
And the NBFCs on our platform are TVS Credit, Mahindra Finance, and I think we're very close to closing with L&T Finance as well. And we also just launched, in addition to crop loans, we launched farm equipment loans. So in case a farmer wants to buy tractors and implements through us, he'll be getting some very, very good deals. I mean, this will be better than whatever he can get in the market, in the market, in terms of processing fee, in terms of a slightly lower interest rate as well. And the amount of products that we have upsold to farmers who got a loan, it currently stands at around 3 crores.
Oh, that's that much of.
So the reason why that value is higher than the loans is because not everybody who comes on the platform gets a loan, but everybody who comes on the platform wants to buy something.
That's great.
So that is how it is.
And they may, I think, beyond loan, they may put their money also to buy something, right? Somebody got a 10 lakh loan.
Yes.
Must still buy a 20 lakh worth tractor.
Yes,
Right.
very
It is
much
an
possible.
ecosystem, right? For example, once you come to us, you keep coming to us because you started trusting us. That is how it works in villages, right? If you go to one shop, that person will never go to another shop where you don't trust that person. If they come to AgriFi, they keep coming to us. I mean, there are many cases that they come and ask, can you do this, can you do that? There are like, I mean, one of the recent example that I can take is 3 farmers are asking one special type of sprayers which are not available in Karnataka or Tamil Nadu. Right? We had to take a personal interest in calling somebody from Maharashtra and arranging for a shipment over there. So this is the kind of a relationship a farmer builds when they get associated with us.
Okay. Wow.
Thank you.
Nice. So point of interface, you see, the downloading the application is the start point,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Later there are conversations and you would speak to them. All the touch points are there.
But this will change, Shesh, and I'll explain why. When we started AgriFi, we wanted AgriFi to become a plug-and-play option for digital agri credit, which means that going forward, you could be using an app of a partner to purchase seeds, but when you're going to pay, you get an option saying, do you want to apply for credit? Right? So then what happens is a farmer could be coming through our app, or he could be coming through a partner app. Tomorrow you could also be, let's say, buying or searching for tractors online, okay, and you go to a partner site and you've chosen your tractor and you're like, no, I want to apply for credit, and you would be getting AgriFi as an option there, stating that, do you want to apply for credit through AgriFi?
Okay. Wow.
Right? So the reason is pretty obvious, right? So when it comes through a partner, my customer acquisition cost drops to 0. Right?
That's very interesting. Yes, I think this partnership, they become your channel.
Yes.
Right. And
They want credit. I have all the lenders lined up and I have everything sorted. All the paperwork is done. The rates are good. It's a complete digital, play. They just have to connect.
Interesting. Cool. And so basically, so one of the other things is a CIBIL score is kind of course, I don't know if in a way legally there, right? So all the banks kind of use it. See, your score
is kind of ultimately still a startup score,
Yes,
right?
it is.
How the building that legitimacy on it,
Needs
how would it?
very simple. You basically have to work with the RBI, right?
Okay.
So we are already started interacting with the RBI on this, and the good thing is that just like a month ago, Sibyl did their first partnership with a startup to provide a unified credit score. Okay, so what we are doing is going to be something similar, where we'll go to RBI and say that we want to build this score, and they'll say no, Sibyl is already there. So you may not be able to do something to the tune of saying I will replace Sibyl score, but you could partner. Okay, saying that they are doing this, I am doing this. Can we put both of these together?
And once the people start coming into a credit system, while they have Sibyl, this can be an enhanced data for further information, right?
Yes.
And I think what is going for you, the way I see is, because there is a pressure, right? There is a certain percentage of capital has to be deployed, which they are not able to.
Correct.
So they kind of they would want you in that sense. It's
Yes.
not like you would have to kind of push them, take this. See,
Yes.
they should be actively looking for solution if they have to really achieve those goals.
And if it comes through RBI, it is even better.
Yes.
Because a bank today will be thinking like, okay, so this is looking good, but I have to follow the norms laid out by RBI, right? So a very integral part of what we do will be to take a path where we are able to go through RBI and co-create a product which banks should see little or no risk, in taking it up.
Okay. So part of your work becomes liaising with with the government.
Yes.
And I would assume the government is is quite interested to
Very.
solve, right?
Very, very. I mean, the success of
I'm going to go.
So the success of UPI has really, really, added wings to the government's focus on digitization, and Agri credit is very, very important for obvious reasons for any government, right? So we believe that not only are, whatever we've done is important. It's coming at the right time, and as a founder that timing is a big thing for any startup. Okay, so
you probably couldn't have done this 5 years back. Right?
Not even 1 year back, because today when we go to a bank, the time taken to build a partnership, in my last startup I worked with banks. My first partnership took 9 months. Okay, so I would expect that the second partnership is 6 months. No, that is 8 months. Right? But today, the time taken to build a partnership with the bank has crashed. It has crashed to like few weeks. Wow. Because they are like, something is happening, we need to figure it out. All the banks miss the UPI bus. Everybody.
Yes.
Everybody has missed the UPI bus, right? So like, what's the next bus? Right? So they are very, very receptive.
And governments are also very serious about it, right? Like, we have been trying to talk with some of the governments. Like recently, we met the.
I mean, like the state governments?
Yes. Yeah. So recently we met Agriculture Minister of Karnataka, and we explained him, sir, this is how our system is and stuff like that. He was very intrigued, and he wanted to further have a discussion with his advisor. So in fact, yesterday we met his advisor, right? So he was like really impressed by the idea how it works. Probably from a government, somebody getting a 45 minutes, 1 hour time. Somebody who's an advisor to the minister. It is way too difficult with my experience, if you see, right? He took all the time to explain, understand, and further help us and say that, if you need any help, let me know. This is a brilliant model. This is going to work for sure. But your workarounds have to be like this, and you have to go in this direction. And it was more like he was mentoring us than actually trying to,
It's really good to see that. That would Mr. B.C. Patil, right?
Yes, correct.
Yes.
Okay.
And a lot of state governments are going very bullish on tech. Tamil Nadu is bullish on tech. Telangana is bullish on tech. Orissa is bullish on tech. Karnataka is, they are really, really, looking at technology to increase their access to farmers. Okay, so timing wise, we couldn't have been positioned at a better time. So yesterday, me and Raghu met the person who helped Alibaba create their AI and ML neural network for, and it's coincident that it just happened yesterday. And he's like, this is probably bigger than that, not from what AgriFi is doing, but what you are doing which can have relevance in the entire developing world. Right? Like this is big. I mean, it's a very, very big problem to solve. It'll require a lot of resources, but this is amazing, and that's the best thing that could happen one day before our pitch.
Yeah. In fact, I think if I remember correctly, at least 10 times he mentioned that this is a big problem to solve. This is a big problem to solve because he understands the weightage of it. He's seen it happening in Alibaba, right?
That's really great, and people with that kind of experience, I think there is a very strong connect, right? They would feel about the problem solving itself, and the ones who are actually going to benefit from it.
Yes.
Right, and the scale of it as well.
Yes.
Right, I think that's really amazing. And I think touching upon, right, I think UPI is one of the biggest thing that has ever happened.
Yes.
Right. I think one is cutting the transactions to zero, and literally with the credit cards, with the transaction fees, pushing digital across everywhere would have been probably 20 years down the line, it might have happened, right? So it has happened faster, that is one. And the fact that the government did this and it's such a big hit has given such a big boost to the government.
100%.
Right, and they are more interested in, and different governments, like not just union governments, all the state government, everybody has realized they can do something more.
Yes.
And that is the attitude shift.
Yes.
Which is what you're kind of getting to. Even
this is what we are leveraging.
Right?
We are leveraging that momentum which has been created due to like 2 or 3 black swan events, right? And we feel that we are at the right place, at the right timing, with the right approach. There's still a lot of work to be done, okay? But with the right approach, and the success that we've seen so far gives us a lot of confidence that if we are able to put in a certain minimum set of resources in the next 1 year, we'll be able to move from POC to a point where we don't have to explain what we are doing, but we only have to explain how fast are we going to move in this.
Yeah, you've already done your MVP with your traction.
Yes.
And you need more capital to take the numbers
yes.
to be much bigger, right?
Much bigger, that's right.
Okay.
So why are we unique? Something very, very important in our approach is most other startups in this space take up an approach to put capital and a lot of personal guarantees in place.
Okay.
What happens is if you do this, most of them kind of get stuck with a certain loan book size, okay? Because you'll have to put more money. So if I want to lend, let's say 5 crores, the bank will say, okay, invest 2 crores. Okay, so I have to go out, raise 2 crores, come back. Okay, now everything is fine and you want to increase that book size to 25 crores. The bank will say, okay, now you put 10 crores. So you see the problem, right?
You're saying this is for the farmers?
No, this is for startups like us.
Oh, okay, okay.
Right? So what happens is scale gets affected. So one of the conscious decisions we took is we're going to create a marketplace.
Yeah, if you were, if you're running your own loan book,
yes,
you would have been focusing on bringing capital to run
yes,
that loan book.
Run that loan book. So we were like, no, we are not going to do that. Okay, we're only going to focus on. So the reason why we do it is because only this is truly scalable. Okay, anything else will have a cycle to it. Okay.
Because if I'm not wrong, there are, of course, you are not the only one trying to solve the problem.
Yes.
There are other competitors, but they are weighed down by loan books, etc.
Yes.
And you are really attacking the problem on its head that I'm going to solve the data problem.
Yes.
Right.
Right. So this is the biggest thing which makes us unique in this space of agri lending. I would say that every other startup that we know is going down the other route, where they are trying to create a book. Okay, it is time consuming and it has got cycles to it. Okay, apart from this,
that's I think there is a joke, or I think there is a common saying these days I hear, every fintech is ultimately just getting into lending.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Like their own lending, right?
Yes.
Which is kind of you're taken a very different path.
So there's a method to this madness. So the reason why they do it is because you can quickly scale. Okay, you can quickly show a 5 crore loan book if you are good at fundraising. Okay, you can quickly show a 25 crore loan book if you know how to raise, let's say 5 crores or 10 crores. But what happens is eventually they realize that lending is not in dispersing loans, it is in collecting the loans, and you cannot beat a bank on that. A bank has been sitting there doing this business for the last 30, 40 years. So they know how to go and collect money from a farmer. The reason why I know this is because when I lent my own money, I have personally gone and begged them to repay. That pain I remember. You know, so fintech and lending are two different things. If you want to do lending, you should know how to recover money, and that's a very, very specific, operationally intensive, time-consuming skill set.
DNA, right?
It's a different DNA.
Yeah.
It's a different DNA. You'll have to be a very different person, you know, to recover. So once we realize that, we were like, no, we will build this, and this is what is truly scalable, and this is what we're going to focus on. Right? This is one thing which I believe makes us a very, very differentiated startup in this space. We don't want to get into lending.
Absolutely. I think it's very interesting, right? I mean, I think Google proved to everybody that, you know, having the data, what all you can do.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think now that's, of course, they are not specialized to this extent, right? So now I think it's time to specialize to get hold of very specific data like
Yes,
these.
yes.
It needs a very specific effort, which
Yes.
you are doing.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah, we'll look into the next.
And
To go back,
I think there's a little bit more.
Yeah. No, next slide.
Next slide.
Yeah.
So we will be going to market using partnerships. Basically, like I explained, tomorrow if you are buying inputs through app, you will see an option where you can apply for credit using AgriFi. Or you could be a farmer who is going to a shop to probably, let's say, get your land records, and you see an option where, you know, you can apply for credit through that shop using AgriFi. Okay, so the reason why I'm saying this is because this has been our dream always, that we build a kind of a hook which can be used by any startup out there, any NGO out there, any contract farmer out there to provide credit to their farmers. We don't want to go and search. They've already, you know, there are these groups, right? So that is what we will do. And in terms of timing, we couldn't have asked for a better time. RBI initiated this pilot where they want to provide KCC in 3 minutes. While it may not happen right now, it has put pressure on banks, making our work easier.
Correct.
Yes. So that's, yeah, it's now easier for you to kind of,
Yes.
you know, showcase your product to
Yes.
them and get them to.
They're very receptive.
Yes. Cool.
So this is our funding so far. We've raised about $350,000 so far. We've raised capital from SOSV, the world's largest VC accelerator, with about 1.3 billion in investments. Wow. As I mentioned, we are part of a fintech-focused accelerator called F10. We are part of the 2022 cohort in Singapore. They also have a cohort in Zurich, Switzerland. We are raising about $1 million to build an 18-month trajectory. About
So
2 million.
Right now you're working on the. Right now you are looking
for a bridge round.
Okay.
Right now, the reason why we are pitching at Bhive is for a bridge round, because you know how the current environment is. So we believe that it will take us some time to close the seed round. For the bridge round, we are looking at somewhere between $200,000 to $250,000. We're looking to do you know, a CCPS so that there's not too much conversation around valuation. We want to peg it to the $1 million seed round.
Okay.
Right? And we're looking at individual investors who have, you know, some alignment with Agri as a space, and we're looking at, you know, having a minimum ticket size of about 5 lakhs, but there's no.
So ideally, yeah, I think they always say you get the right investor, right?
Yeah.
So the investors who are able to connect
With the story.
right, and
Yes.
who want to support this and
Yes.
to make this happen, right?
Yes.
I think that's the thing. And among what you have raised so far, of course, there are prominent names in terms of accelerators. If it is okay, is there any other names? You know?
Yeah. So Raghunandan, the co-founder and CEO of Taxi for Sure, and now the co-founder and CEO of Zolve, he's coming in as an investor in our
he's a big
round.
name.
Yes. We have Deepak Garg, who is this founder and CEO of Rivigo, who's you know, part of AgriFi.
Wow.
We also have the CMO of Upstocks. His name is Harish Narayanan. Okay, he's part of this round. We have Srinath Ramanujam, who's ex Moonfrog, who's now the founder and CEO of Asti Investments, who's part of this round. I mean, it's a fairly big name, a big list. I mean,
these are, I think, these are people who understand startup investments.
Yes.
Right? So So I think that adds or credibility to you.
Yes.
That having somebody like Raghunandan, etc., right? He's known as a savvy investor, has made a lot of successful investments.
I mean,
and other names you've given as well, right?
Yes.
So I think that's for a lot of investors who are new, for them it gives credibility that, hey, you know what, informed investors who understand startup space are making.
Yeah, I mean, well curated. I mean, if I were an angel investor, I look for a credible team. I look for good experience, and does this? I mean, will I get an exit? I have demonstrated exit in my first startup, so I think we are fairly set. We came to Bhive because you give us access to a curated audience of investors. So we believe that we have a good story, a good team, and good timing. So we'd love to engage, if somebody resonates with our story and take it forward.
Cool. Okay. So one is, I'll kind of read out the questions, which is coming from the audience. Who are watching this right now. One is, how do you target to increase the outreach, as the acceptance of the app-based platform still needs a basic skill to apply loan?
So I take this question. So I'll explain you certain research data that we have. Right, when I was working in precision agriculture for development, we had done a lot of research on adaptability of mobile application by farmers. During 2018, Karnataka had around 28% of the farmers using smartphones. Gujarat somewhere around 33%, and similarly we had numbers for all the states. So considering the penetration of network like Jio, and then a smartphone penetration, we can safely assume probably it has gone up 10%, probably more, but we can assume that it is 10%. Like we mentioned, we are not targeting all the 180 million farmers in country, right? That is something that it will take time, right? We can target this segment of 30% or 40% of the farmers. This is one. And second is,
because that is also a very big number.
Yes.
The ones who are already using,
yes,
are itself a very huge number.
Yes, it's
right?
a huge number. And second thing is, how are we acquiring these farmers? One is partnership, definitely. And the second thing is, how are we getting these users into our platform is by very creative advertisements in the social media channels. Any farmer who is capable of using a Facebook or an Instagram or any such kind of a social media would definitely be able to do a 3 minutes loan application with us also. This is the thought process. And I think we, at a point, our cost of acquisition was somewhere around 7 to 8 rupees. That shows how many people.
No, it went as low as like 1 rupee.
Yes.
Wow.
So that shows how many people.
I'm assuming a lot of referrals, and once somebody is happy, they
1 rupee means it is viral.
It's viral. Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
And okay, it's a good, interesting question. Would you go beyond fresh crop farmers and offer your services to other micro and small businesses run by rural communities?
So again, I'll take this question. So basically, we are working on a model. So I mean, if I have to go back in my career around 8 years or 9 years ago, when I was working for an NGO called Rangde, we were doing the exact same thing, right? We were in fact investing. We were not asking for a donation from farmers to donate to them, but what we were doing is we were taking the investments, like you invest on these people and you get up to 2% return on your investment. That is what we were promising. Why that was such a good thing and it was success is because in the rural or like the local entrepreneurs, you can call like the vegetable shop guy and stuff like that, they actually don't get a formal credit very easily, right? They go for a 10,000 rupees loan from a local person who is giving them loan, and that person charges somewhere around 100 rupees per day. There is no other interest. And then what happens is, like, if you do not pay him for 10 days, it becomes 1,000, 20 days, it becomes 2,000, 30 days, it becomes 3,000. But like if they don't pay for a couple of months, it's like as equal as the money that they have taken. So what we did is, we did partner with a lot of SHGs and NGOs to help solve this issue. With the help of NGOs and SHGs, we were able to collect the farmer applications and were able to crowdfund the money from people as well as trust and CSR funds, and were able to disperse the money to the right audience. we are seriously working on something similar but not exact model with the help of our credit engine. Right, we can underwrite these people and we can effectively give a better loan. I mean, not as a donation, I would again repeat, it is an investment for the local community or the local entrepreneurs in the country.
Still in pretty early days.
It's very early.
But eventually you'll expand to...
It's the same community. I mean, it's the farmer, it's that agri landscape, you know, it's all the same place.
Okay, I think at the right time you'll start extending beyond.
Yes.
It's mostly in microfinance in nature than actually the lending.
Okay, I think which is already answered, I guess, but I'll let you put in. Is it providing only loan approval for needy farmers, or even marketing of products? Okay, I think this is a different question. Or even marketing of products from farmers to market, is it envisaged?
It is definitely envisaged, but it will make sense at a critical number of farmers. You need to have certain. So typically, a bulk buyer would say, "I want to buy 1,000 tons of corn," and they will mention the grade and they'll mention the geography as well. So you reach a certain scale where all of these details are available with you, and it can be productized. So I think it will be around 9 to 12 months from now.
Okay, so I think. Looks like there are more and more use cases. I think once you
yes,
build the
I mean,
data,
yeah. It's once you build the data, then you can like literally play around with it.
Like I mentioned, it is an ecosystem. It is having a lot of angles to it.
Yes.
One of such angles is this.
Wow. So more questions are coming. So the farmers in your platform is currently from which geographies, and what are the new geographies you are looking to expand to?
So we are majority of our farmers are from Karnataka. Second is Tamil Nadu, and then is Andhra Pradesh. However, we are our application we have a language support for Odia,
Malayalam,
Tamil, Telugu, Odia, Kannada, Malayalam, Marathi, Hindi, and English.
Okay. So that means the regions where these languages being
pretty
used.
much we have covered the entire India, and the rest of the people, I mean, the people who can talk Hindi is like,
But do you have a strategy, like, you know, obviously I would think that because you're in Bangalore, doing it in, like for example, meeting agriculture minister is easier here, logically, right? And then, you know.
From a digital journey perspective, I think we don't see ourselves being married to any geography. I'm going to marry a lender.
But you can't be in every geography day one, right? That's
Yes.
what's going on an order.
Correct.
Right?
So in that sense, I think we are already sorted because we are already having 8 languages. Within these, our focus right now is on South India. Okay, so Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and AP is where I would say we are spending most of our time working with these partners.
Okay. Okay, so are you planning to give any services to help farmers in creating market linkage and help them in loan repayment?
So a part of this question is a previous question that we definitely envisage that eventually, you know, we'll reach a stage where we have a critical mass of farmers to help them with market linkage. This is a very, very good question because the reason why we are envisaging that is because a lot of banks would like to have comfort knowing when I can go and collect repayment.
Okay.
And that is basically the day after he sells his produce, right? And for this, you don't even need to be physically present. If you have the land coordinates, you can use satellite data to, on an average, say that he has at least harvested his land. That means he's highly likely to sell it in the next few days.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
So this gives a lot of comfort to banks. That I mean, basically, the ability to collect is directly proportional to going and meeting the farmer when he has money. Typically, when a farmer has sold his produce, max is 1 week.
Okay.
By that time, he'll finish his cash.
Okay. So if you kind of also kind of educate them and tell, hey, first you go ahead and pay this.
I don't think we'll be able to do that, but at least we can tell the banks that, hey, now is a good time to go.
Farmer, ultimately his credit history, he can always, you know, take more loan in future, etc. Right?
I know, but I still feel that
so bank, you kind of giving information to bank. This may be the right time.
This may be the right time to go and collect the repayment for the loan.
Okay, cool. And so somebody is touching upon the valuation. What is the valuation at which you are raising money?
So it's a CCPS. Okay, so we are not pegging it to any particular valuation right now. Instead, we are pegging it to the seed round. Okay, so
Wouldn't that make it a CCD?
kind of, I mean, not a lawyer particularly, but I'm just saying that we want to make
so
it.
the price is not yet determined. Let's
Yes.
put more,
Yes.
you know, and it will get determined by your next round.
by the seed round.
By the seed round, and this will, okay. And I think probably there are more questions coming, I think, no? One last question, okay. Okay, I think this is also a very interesting question. See, given that all farmers may not be good in typing and reading, etc., you know, have you tried making, you know, voice-based app like where they can speak, etc.?
So in my experience, in Cropin we had done a pilot. I mean, it is like way back 6-7 years ago to try to build an application with the voice commands, but it was an utter failure because people did not use it. I mean, people are finding it like, what is it? I do something in the voice and it does not respond back, or it becomes too much artificial for them, right? I mean, why it is artificial for them is because most of the application, like I mean, I would like to take all the social media things, right? Facebook, WhatsApp,
Alexa,
Google, everything.
Alexa.
Yeah, everything is in the app, right? And you can, I mean, you trying to bring something like Alexa to farmers will get confused.
Okay.
Even it took a lot of time to, you know, actually get accustomed to a Siri or a Alexa.
Yeah, definitely. And I think they also may not understand, let's say, even an Indian accent. They don't get it that easily. They don't always get it.
You have accents, yes.
Right.
Dialects. I mean, Kannada can have like probably 20 dialects.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. I think we will. I think any more questions, probably people can directly reach out, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm given your contact details. That would be available. We will be sharing the deck with everybody who has registered. But I think there are some who joined without registering, because I think some of my friends, I directly gave the link to join, you know, in the last moment. So they can always reach out to my team, etc. Right? We will be able to help.
More than happy to
Right?
do
And
it.
so we can anyway show the contact details, because if somebody wants to note down, can you show it on the display?
The last slide.
This is the last slide once. Yeah, those who want to, if you are joined without, you know, without registering, you can just note down also, you know, so, and they can come to your website also and contact you, right? So
Yeah, my number is pretty much there everywhere.
Okay, cool. So that's cool then. I think that was a really good session, and honestly, I think this conversation, I was able to learn so much about, one is what you are doing, also about the actual problems that exist. I think that was the whole idea of the show, is that a lot of times, you know, somebody who living in city like me, right, I may not fully know exactly where is the problem, why is the credit not going, and why are banks actually not able to solve it, right? Correct. I mean, and you know, and I think there are so many ground level issues, behavioral thing, etc., and the problems, and I think you're going deep to really understand.
Yes.
And I'm sure that is the whole thing about startup founders, is you have to try different things and see what works.
Yes.
Correct.
And you are kind of ground up there, and I think the most amazing thing is the background you come from and the passion you have to solve it.
Thank you.
You know, I think more than just making money, I think the impact you would have, I think, will give you so much satisfaction.
Correct.
Right?
Absolutely.
Correct. Right.
While of course, you know, it is. I think this is of course not an NGO. You have a model that can, you know, that can make good amount of profit as well.
Yes.
And I think profit-making companies is what ultimately deliver a lot of impact as well
100%.
as you go.
We would like to call ourselves a profit for purpose company than just a profit company, because there's a lot of impact angle to it, just not the business.
Yes.
Okay, cool, great guys. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
joining in.
Thank you
in
for
person.
giving us time. Really
Okay.
appreciate it. So generally pitches are like 45 minutes, but we've been speaking for almost 1 hour.
Quite a lot.
It didn't seem like so much.
Yes.
Yes.
You had so much genuine content.
Thank
Cool,
you for your
then.
time.
Yeah, thanks everybody for joining in.
Thank you.
guys.